Hey, and welcome back to the second hour of the show today. As some of you know by looking at my website, I just got back from a trip to Las Vegas. A little business, and you can't go to Las Vegas, I guess, without some pleasure. Kind of interesting, though, the slant that I saw, and I got several emails about this in terms of my opinion of legalized gambling and the effect it's having economically, at least, right here in Louisiana. When I went to Las Vegas, I brought back some of the newspapers to give you some of the headlines, and I know you folks at home that are watching over the internet might see some of these, but MGM Mirage under financial scrutiny here in the Las Vegas paper. Wynn Sands lose steam. Wynn Resorts profits down. Wynn is the Steve Wynn's great series of casinos having problems out in Las Vegas. Here's another headline about Chapter 11 being taken by one particular casino group, smaller casino group. It's 18 casinos. They have gone into Chapter 11. MGM Mirage, survival outshines loss, talks about its losses. And there was a cartoon in the Baton Rouge paper not too long ago. I'm looking at it here right now. It says Louisiana casinos had a big drop in their June revenues. It's a little funny parry on what our emphasis is here. It goes on to say maybe education reform is starting to work and people are wising up because the revenues are dropping. Well, unfortunately, that's not the case. They're dropping because of the economy, and it raises some questions about the long-range effect. I mentioned, by the way, I went to Las Vegas. If you go to my website at jimbrownla.com, you'll see a lot of funny videos I put up there of my trip out to Las Vegas. Stayed at the Bellagio Hotel out there that was not as full as it's been in the past. You go to the website and see a lot of funny photos. When I went to the Wax Museum and was with Angelina Jolie and Madonna, the whole list of movie stars you can see there on the website. But the issue is one of how this affects us right here in Louisiana and the long-range effect on the gambling. And by the way, I didn't see Wynn when I was out there before, but I've told some of you before that I have had a chance to talk to Steve Wynn about the New Orleans situation and about the huge missed opportunity. Wynn's very articulate. He really wanted to come into New Orleans. He wanted to have a wide open situation like they have in the state of Mississippi. Didn't want to have to bid for a particular casino. He said, look, let us all compete, and just as they do in the Mississippi Gulf Coast, the better casinos will survive and will certainly do okay. And so that was the premise under which Wynn wanted to come in. He felt like Canal Street could be the second major site only to Las Vegas. And we talked about that, and he said that New Orleans made a huge mistake. Said that they should have concentrated casinos in an area where you had a number of them down there, not just one or two. Let any of the players come in. You'd have had all the big casinos in New Orleans, and today Wynn feels like that Canal Street would have been the second biggest gathering of casinos in the country, and that the economic benefit to Louisiana would have been huge compared to what it is today. Now what we've got is the fact that revenue's dropping off in Louisiana. It's dropping off all over the country. And what are the long-term effects it's going to have here for our state? You see, this money is dropped into the general fund. It's not dedicated. So therefore, we have such a huge hole to fill to begin with. You saw some of the recent news reports. John McGinnis wrote a great column this week about the Department of Health and Human Resources and the hole we're in Louisiana because of financial constraints. That by next year we could be looking at having to come up with another $1.5 billion just to reimburse the federal government and get even in the Medicaid area, $1.5 billion. The normal cost of government just to stay even is about $500 million a year. We're talking about $2 to $3 billion just to keep out of the hole next year, and we're seeing a drop in the casino revenue. And here's what's really scary for people living in Louisiana. You see, we have been buoyed artificially because of the failure in Texas to legalize gambling. You go to Lake Charles right now, go to L'Ambarage or one of the boats over Lake Charles, go to Shreveport. I was up at the Binion Casino here about 2 weeks ago at a family gathering when I was up in Shreveport, stayed there, and look at it in the parking lot. 80% of all the cars are from Texas. It's not Louisiana people. It's Arkansas and Texas people up in Shreveport. It's Texas people over in Lake Charles. As a consequence, Texas is just not going to stand by for years to come and let billions, not millions, but billions of dollars a year be drifted off to Louisiana. They're just not going to do that. You couldn't blame them. And I know there's some opposition by ministers and other groups over there, but if it's legalized everywhere else, it's going to be legalized in Texas. Now, the problem is then you're going to see a massive drop-off of income right here in Louisiana. And that's the trouble we face. We are so reliant on oil and gas and casino revenues. We've not spread out, as other states have done, the obligations and the opportunities to grow in different types of industry. I think we're missing the boat right now and not doing more with foreign investment through the Panama Canal, India, China, other countries. So far, we've not made an aggressive push in that direction. We're relying on the traditional industries, and right now, unfortunately, it's oil and gas, and it's only, it's a finite product. It's going to go away one day. And then you've got the casino gambling. So it doesn't bode well for us, and that's the challenge to Bobby Jindal and the legislature. Do they have the will, the wisdom, and the foresight to make some indicative changes? So if the worst happens, if the oil runs dry and the casino revenue is not there, then the oil and gas or the revenue from casinos in the future will be in the minds of our young people today. Tremendous challenge, and that's what we've got to deal with. So with that matter, we'll open up the phone lines and take